2021 is just around the corner. Hi, everybody. I'm Joe Butita. Election Day, Tuesday, November 2nd. And on the ballot is the race for mayor of Santa Barbara. Over the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to hear from the 6 candidates that are running to lead the city. And they're all joining us via Zoom. In alphabetical order, they are small business owner James Joyce III, small businessman Matt Kilrain, the current mayor of Santa Barbara, Kathy Murillo, downtown business owner Randy Rouse, city planning commissioner Deborah L. Schwartz, and the publisher, Mark M. Whitehurst. Thank you all for being here, joining us on Zoom. We appreciate it and taking part in today's forum. So we're going to have 3 topics. We're going to start with topic number 1, and we will go alphabetically for now, and then we'll disperse from there. But COVID and the economic recovery. COVID really impacting every part of everyday life. And James, we're going to start with you. What is your responsibility as the maybe future mayor of Santa Barbara when it comes to COVID and the economy?
Thank you, Joe, and I appreciate you asking that question and having us on here this morning. I think that that's a very important question because we're at an inflection point coming out of COVID, and I think it's the role of the mayor is to be the chief advocate for the business community as we come out. What are their concerns, listening to what their challenges are, and help them connect the dots to help navigate those challenges. And I think that that's something that I can uniquely bring as mayor, having served the past 10 years working at the state legislative level locally. So thank you for that question, Joe.
And I jumped my own gun here. I want to let you all introduce yourselves as well. So James, why don't you go ahead and start there too?
Yeah, no worries. I was being flexible, rolling with the punches there. Good morning. My name is James Joyce III. I am running for mayor of Santa Barbara for the past decade. I have served as mostly for the past decade, served as the district director for State Senator Hannah Beth Jackson. I'm honored to have her support in this run to be mayor of Santa Barbara. Prior to that, I was a newspaper reporter and bring that perspective, but also founder of the initiative called Coffee with a Black Guy, where we facilitate community conversations about difficult issues here in our community. And so I'm bringing that skill set to want to serve the residents of Santa Barbara to make us a better community than we currently are now. Thank you.
James, thank you. Matt Kilrain is the next candidate on our alphabetical list here. Introduce yourself to the public.
Oh no, it's very competitive.
Santa Barbara, me llamo Mateo Kilrain. Yo amo Santa Barbara y muchas de las gentes con todo mi corazón. Estoy aquí para dividir arriba los ánimos y unidos el 805. My name is Matt Kilrain. I'm running for mayor of Santa Barbara. I'm here to stop the divide. I'm here to raise the vibe. And I'm here to unite the 805. Thank you.
All right, Matt, thank you. Mayor Kathy Murillo running for re-election. Mayor Murillo.
Thank you. It's an honor, Joe, to serve as Santa Barbara's mayor, and I ask for your vote. I'm proud to have led the charge to make Santa Barbara a more just, progressive, and equitable city where everyone has an opportunity to succeed. I'll continue to work hard ensuring the well-being of our residents, protecting our environment, and growing our economy. In my second term, I'll build on the work that I've done for the last 10 years and the positive relationships that I have. And my focus will continue to be on creating jobs and housing opportunities and working with the business community on pandemic recovery. I'm confident of my work focusing on homelessness, police accountability, affordable housing, climate resiliency, and my endorsements include the Democratic Party, Sierra Club, the Santa Barbara Tenants Union, Cause Action Fund, and the Central Coast Labor Council. Please vote for me for mayor. Thank you.
Mayor Murillo, thank you so much. Randy Rouse, you are the next person up. Good morning.
Morning, Joe. Yeah, I'm Randy Rouse. A lot of you might know me from my 37 years of running the Paradise Cafe, which is directly across from City Hall. And during that time, I served on various commissions and committees, civic-oriented committees for the city, as well as my last 9 years in business, I was on City Council. And I'm running because Santa Barbara needs to have focused leadership. It needs to move away from partisan politics. It needs to have a more united and team-oriented council than we have today. And I think I can bring that to council. And I really would appreciate your vote this November. Thank you.
Randy, thank you so much. Deborah L. Schwartz now, the current planning commissioner.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, KEYT. My name is Deborah Schwartz, and I'm running for Santa Barbara mayor. This is my hometown because we face critical crossroads. We have three crises. We have increased homelessness on our streets, those who have untreated mental health and drug addiction issues. We face a growing workforce housing shortage, and we have economic uncertainties at a time when our small businesses are the lifeblood of our community. Our elected officials are the only ones with the express authority and responsibility to prepare and lead our city. And as such, planning commissioners do not have that authority. So looking to the elected, specifically the mayor, there has not been the preparation for thoughtful, balanced, decisive action that could have prepared us better facing the many crises I identified. The voters are telling me they've lost confidence in city leadership. We need to restore that. I would be honored to have the endorsement of the people of Santa Barbara and your vote, and I'd be ready to lead this day one. Thank you so much.
Deborah, thank you so much. And Mark M. Whitehurst is the final of our 6 candidates to introduce himself.
Morning, and thanks KEYT for this opportunity. And I guess congratulations are ordered, Joe. I hear there's a son on the way.
There is another little boy. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. I'm Mark Whitehurst, and I'm running for mayor. I'm the publisher of Voice magazine, and I have been fully engaged in community building in Santa Barbara for the last 27 years. I want you to know I'm passionate about finding answers to our homeless situation. I want you to know that I'm enthusiastic about finding solutions for housing and parking. I want you to know that I'm passionate about positive change for our city. Please vote Mark for mayor.
Thank you all so much for introducing yourselves. And now to the topic that I was apparently just so excited to get to that I almost skipped the first part there. COVID and the economic recovery. It impacts every part of our day. We already heard from James a little bit on that. We're going to go now to the next candidate down that list, Matt Kilrain. You have 1 minute. What's your thoughts on COVID and what can we do to get the economy going again?
Okay, first of all, with the COVID issue, we're still in the pandemic. It's not over yet. And everybody's worried about making money and building houses and bringing in a bunch of more people and listening to Gavin Newsom and doing whatever Joe Biden and Gavin Newsom want us to do. Look, we got to look after the folks that are in Santa Barbara right here today. If you're not in Santa Barbara and you're thinking about getting COVID, stay in LA. Don't come here, okay? We need to take care of the people we got. If anybody's got COVID, let's get rid of it. Let's take COVID and run it out of town. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. We need to get rid of COVID in Santa Barbara. Quit letting these people with COVID into Santa Barbara. And let's quit worrying about making money. Oh, if you bring COVID to us and let us make some money off you, you're welcome in Santa Barbara. No, you're not. If you got COVID, don't come here. Okay? Now let's get this under control now, before the election, right now. If you know somebody with COVID, get them treated. I understand you can't even go to the hospital because the nurses won't even get vaccinated. And so my position is, let's conquer COVID in Santa Barbara today. Let's get it done. Quit playing around with it.
All right, Mayor Murillo, to you now. When it comes to the economy and COVID, they really go hand in hand. What are your thoughts on the pandemic response so far, and what are you still looking to do?
So last year, I formed the mayor's COVID-19 Business Advisory Task Force. It was the business community and city officials, and we listened to what the business sectors needed, the business owners needed, and together we came up with the State Street Promenade. It's been a huge success in downtown vitality, but there's more to do. We have an economic development plan, which was formulated by our expert at City Hall, our economic development manager, and it was vetted by the community, approved by the city council. So the goals are to make the city more business friendly. So if you take downtown empty storefronts, make it easier to fill those spaces, and also do business recruitment, which will be a priority for me in my second term. So we have been working with the governor, with county public health, and all the business sectors, the performing arts venues, and there's protocols. We need to follow them so that we can have our robust economy back. Thank you.
Randy Rouse, now you were a business owner in this town for many years. Where would you take this, and what do you see as a business owner looking at it from maybe a different angle?
Well, as a business owner, Joe, first of all, I'd be pretty upset with the lack of leadership from the government, the lack of consistent messaging. And that's not just at the city level, that's at all levels, county, state, and federal. Mandates on, mandates off, code, colors, and whatnot. What the local businesses needed was a sure communication with City Hall. And even our city tenants were feeling shut out at that time. I think there was a lack of confidence. And when you're in a crisis like this, what you're looking for is leadership with confidence. And you need to know that somebody's got your back. You need to know that somebody is doing a process other than just creating ordinances about tenants versus landlords and back and forth. There's a whole spectrum of things that could have been done that were poorly communicated. And I think as mayor, my job would be to reverse that trend and make sure that people knew who I was and what I stood for and that I had their back.
Deborah, to you now, when it comes to COVID and the economy, still a long way to go here. Many people are struggling. As mayor, what would your actions be, and do you think we can do more going into the future?
Joe, well, our public health crisis connects with our economic crisis. Before the global pandemic hit, we already were facing economic vulnerabilities. As I've stated before, in 2019, the council with mayor commissioned a publicly funded report on our economy. We already knew at that time that we needed to make changes. Those changes had not been made in terms of our processes and practices, and then the pandemic hit. So we're now faced with a double public health, economic health crisis, and our small businesses are the lifeblood of our community, but our community needs to work for everyone. And we have a growing divide socioeconomically that must be faced with boldness and championed by the mayor and council. I also want to clarify my position on COVID and the requirements for city employees, and I shared this with the Independent recently. I am in favor of full vaccination for city employees, and for those who have reasons such as religious that are not vaccinated, I think that weekly testing is required. That's the only way we're going to continue to ensure that our work environments are safe and that we can continue to move out of this. And this would be a priority for me day one, again, rebalancing public health with economic health.
Mark, we'll go to you in a second, but I want to hear from everybody else on the vaccine mandate. That was something I was going to get to as well. We'll just go show of hands here. Would you be in support of a vaccine mandate for city workers?
I can give you just, we had a very
So
balanced with what I said, Joe, about the weekly testing, yes.
4 of the 6 of you. Randy, you did not raise your hand there. What are your thoughts when it comes to a vaccine mandate?
Joe, I fully believe in the vaccine. As a matter of fact, I just had my booster the other day. But I also believe in information. I believe in people making good choices based on good information. And like I said before, the information coming out of government and even our health authorities have been so disparate, so confused, and so inconsistent that it's really fed out. And when a public official, when an elected official is the one telling you what to do with your medical, that's part of the confusion.
Now to Mr. Whitehurst, what are your thoughts, COVID, the economic recovery, and then the thoughts on mandates as well? You were one of the people that raised your hand saying, yeah, I'd be for that.
Yes, I'm glad you paired these two because our economy is tied to the COVID crisis, pandemic, and the mandate is fundamental for us moving forward in terms of our economy. When you have restaurants that are unsafe, when you have health workers that are unsafe, a city that doesn't take action is irresponsible. When it comes to this pandemic, we need to follow the science. And the science says we need to be 80, 90% vaccinated in order to reach herd immunity. So how are we going to move the economy forward when fear keeps people away from our city? I really think that we have really good bones And that when you look at our current TOT revenues, and the report just came in yesterday, we are way ahead of the last 2 years, and we can easily be on track to recovery if the city would only get in line with this whole mandate COVID thing. And I think that it's irresponsible to give money for incentives rather than encourage people to be vaccinated immediately. Thank you.
So you have COVID, you have the economic recovery, and then kind of tied to everything is then the housing issues that we see in Santa Barbara and the homelessness. Everything is interconnected. James, what are your thoughts when it comes to how do you solve the housing and homeless issues? You know, being mayor, you're only one person part of the council, but you do have more people eyeing what your ideas may be.
Sure. Thank you for that, Joe. I think with the way that the mayor currently set up in the city of Santa Barbara, we really have the opportunity to use the bully pulpit to show leadership, right? And so help set the tone, help set the pace of what the conversation is around housing and homelessness. These are issues that we're gonna, it's part of the job of the mayor to help calibrate community expectations. We're not gonna solve or get rid of these things. They're part of our community. And so treating our unhoused neighbors like truly neighbors and helping them get the things that they need to determine what success looks like. On housing, really embracing innovative ideas and finding ways to get to yes instead of everything being a no, we can't do this because, right? And so that's the attitude that we need to bring to our city. We have a great city. It's just that visionary leadership that we'll need to start to improve some of these issues, not necessarily solve them in total. Thank you.
Mr. Kilrain, your thoughts on housing and homelessness in the city of Santa Barbara?
First of all, it was nice of the Santa Barbara News Press to say that I will open up housing by getting rid of crooked and corrupt city employees, like the one that ordered my car to get stolen this morning before the debate. But we're going to open up a lot of housing by getting rid of crooked and corrupt employees in the city of Santa Barbara. And we can stack and pack the homeless in. I'm going to get rid of so many crooked and corrupt employees that we're not going to have a housing issue anymore in this city. And that's all I got to say. I'll fix housing by getting rid of crooked and corrupt city employees quickly before the election.
Okay, let's go to the current planning commissioner. I imagine your job now, part of this has to do with housing and what are some solutions into the future. What are your thoughts when it comes to what the issues are when it comes to housing and homelessness?
We do address housing in terms of policies, Joe, but it's the elected officials explicitly that have the responsibility of addressing homelessness. However, I have many years of experience outside of being a planning commissioner regarding homelessness. And in fact, I have a family member who is homeless on the streets of Northern California. So it's a close issue to me. And as I recently learned from meeting with our interim police chief, number one is not housing regarding effectively addressing homelessness. It's the untreated mental health and drug addiction conditions that we must face head on. And under California law, counties have the legal responsibility to provide those clinical services with appropriate funding for mental health issues. And I believe that we need to task our Board of Supervisors to provide the city of Santa Barbara with our fair share. Regarding workforce housing, there are additional strategies, and I've discussed those public-private partnerships, but that requires convening both the public and private sectors for housing. That hasn't been done. That is a responsibility of the mayor, and I look to champion that early on, should I be fortunate to have your vote.
Let's go to Mayor Murillo. A lot has been done recently to try to help with housing issues. Has it worked, and what more needs to be done?
We have to have the courage to say yes to infill dense projects in the downtown area or the central areas that are already built up. That's the location to put new housing because it's on transportation corridors. It will lead to walkability because it's close to schools, jobs, and commerce. But what I would say about homelessness is that we help the homeless person themselves for their sake because they're a human being. Second, we eliminate the impacts created by homelessness on our community. It's very detrimental to our all of our quality of life to see tents, to see people in distress on the streets. And when I was a reporter, I went undercover into the homeless shelter. My sister and I went. We spent 2 nights there. I wanted to see for myself and get to know people, the systems, how they're helped, and it was one of the most important things that I did. You know, that's like a home run. So we'll just keep that for the Dodger game tonight. That your symbol. Thank you, Joe. And thank you, folks. I need your support to continue to be your mayor and combat homelessness. Thank you.
No problem. What the mayor's referring to, I give them a little rap sign if we're time-wise giving things, but you may not see that on TV. All right, Mr. Whitehurst, your thoughts on homelessness and housing in the city of Santa Barbara and what you would do as mayor?
Joe, that's a really important pairing. Right now, today, the county is taking action to put in 32 tiny homes on Carrillo. And I think it's a $3 million project working with Dignity. And that housing is going to be directed at the people on State Street that will move into that. It's important that when it comes to compassionate care for homeless people, we need to look at this evaluation process. How do we evaluate, and where can they be placed in terms of beds and care? And I think that the county is also responsible for that in terms of mental health care. And our city should follow that lead and cooperate and collaborate with the county, who obviously is moving forward with funds, with Dignity, to create those 32 tiny homes. I think we should also talk to Goleta, that this is a regional problem. The county, Goleta, and the city of Santa Barbara should collaborate on this housing issue. Thank you very much.
Mr. Rouse, your thoughts on housing and homelessness and the issues in Santa Barbara and how you would correct them or try to fix them as mayor?
Yeah, Joe, well, I'm actually a little bit disturbed that we've linked housing and homelessness as if homelessness were so easy and to solve by simply providing a house. Simply warehousing people is not the way to solve homelessness. Deborah was correct in that. And when I look at housing solutions, we usually are talking about workforce housing, and that's really what's needed in this town. But the solutions we're coming up with are things about increasing density, increasing building heights, and doing the things that haven't worked anywhere else. And I don't understand why we have almost 1,000 units on the docket sitting there, not coming up out of the ground, and yet we're not really thoroughly discussing why they're not there. We're not talking to those people who developed those units. And I think if we went to that approach, as opposed to sitting inside City Hall and trying to figure out new techniques, new ordinances, or new ways to punish people who actually try to develop these things, we might actually be able to produce some extra housing. But the homelessness situation is far more complex than simply housing.
Thank you. We're going to wrap things up with our final statements from each of you, and will be a response to a question that I am asking. What does the job of mayor mean to you? And we're going to start alphabetically again. James Joyce III, your thoughts on that particular question?
I got to point out, I'm really appreciating being first in the alphabetical lineup. That doesn't happen with Jay, but I appreciate it. Thank you for that. I think what the role of mayor means to me is an opportunity to show leadership and demonstrate leadership. You don't get an extra vote, you don't get veto authority, but you do get the opportunity to build coalitions. You do get the opportunity to be the connective tissue in a community, to make sure that everyone can thrive in an inclusive community where everyone feels heard and seen. And that's what I would bring to mayor, is something that I think that we've been lacking, and something that I think that our community sorely yearns for. And so I would appreciate your vote between now and November 2nd. And thank you so much for your time and convening this important conversation.
Matt Kilrain, what does the job of mayor mean to you?
First and foremost, the job of mayor will mean making Santa Barbara a safe enough place for my kid who was born in Santa Barbara 13 years ago, for her to finish growing up. I'm also going to make Santa Barbara a safe enough place for your kids to finish growing up. And if your kids aren't born yet, they're going to have a great place, because we're going to have so many new mothers having so many babies in Santa Barbara, and they're probably going to be non-vaccinated babies. And I'm going to make Santa Barbara a great family safe place for your kids to be born, where your kids are going to own the business of Santa Barbara. And because they're born here, they're going to always live better than the rest of the world, including better than the Saudis or the people in Alaska. Your kids are going to be doing great. And there's going to be so much love spread around Santa Barbara, and we're going to get rid of all this hatred and anger and division. And it's not going to happen anymore. You can just take your hatred, anger, and division, leave town, and start loving each other and cranking out the babies. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Kilrain, thank you. Mayor Kathy Murillo, what does the job of mayor, obviously you have it right now, what does it mean to you?
It means being a strong leader, as I have been all these last 3 years and during the pandemic. It means being an ambassador. Just yesterday, I gave out certificates to developmentally disabled people who do janitorial services at the waterfront. It means going to as many meetings and small school events and library events that I can. It means running an efficient meeting with respect among our council members. And it really means being a problem solver. That's what I do. I remember when we had to close the library last year, it was before the governor had given the stay-at-home order related to libraries, but we knew that it was a congregating situation, and our library staff were in danger. And I was on the phone all day trying to figure out how to move our unsheltered residents who take up residency sometimes in the library. We have plans for that as well. So it's problem solving, being a good communicator, and working well with people. I appreciate being mayor. I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Randy Rouse, what does the job of mayor mean to you?
Well, Joe, as somebody who has 4 decades of both private and public sector experience in Santa Barbara, the job of mayor, we talk about leadership a lot, but what we've got right now, we've got a lot of disparate pieces. We have some great elements within the organization, and we have some good elements within council, but they're not led, they're not together, they're not working as a team. We've had the biggest drain of executive and institutional knowledge that we've ever seen at one time. What we need is leadership. We need confidence. We need to go forward. The business community should look at City Hall as a friend. City Hall is a place to communicate, and not as a monolith that shadows over what they do from a day-to-day basis. And right now, that needs to change, and that's what I can bring to City Hall. Thank you.
Deborah Schwartz, what does the job of mayor mean to you?
The job of mayor, as the only citywide elected position now that we've had to return to district elections, is the most important. And I'm going to challenge my colleague James to say it's not just an opportunity, it's an obligation. The mayor is the one that meets weekly behind closed doors with the city administrator and sometimes the city attorney. So it's critical that the mayor have in mind the cooperative, collegial, respectful collaboration with council colleagues and the community at large in formulating the weekly agenda. The mayor also is a role model, and I think I have the unique ability to restore, and the voters are telling me they're urgently looking for a restoral of a certain kind of role modeling with the mayor, working collaboratively with council and the community, and I'm looking to make that a priority day one. Again, I would be honored to have your vote.
And Mark Whitehurst, our final statement here when it comes to what does the job of mayor mean to you?
What the job of mayor means to me is being in the neighborhoods, parking there, visiting with the people, hearing what their needs are. This campaign has been a real eye-opener, walking the different districts and neighborhoods of our city and what their needs are, their critical needs are. Renter protections and basic housing needs. I think the mayor's job is also to be a mediator, an ambassador, and someone who interfaces with the different organizations throughout the community. I think it's critical that the mayor be decisive and that they be collaborative and that the mayor builds relationships and understands partnerships. And I ask that you vote and that you vote for Mark. Thank you.
Thank you all for taking part in today's forum. Election Day is Tuesday, November 2nd. For those of you at home that would like to learn more about each of the candidates, you can head to our website, KEYT.com. I'm Joe Butita. Thanks so much for joining us.